Welcome to the Awaken Your Ego podcast, where we embark on a transformative journey towards unleashing your highest potential. I'm your host, Joanne, and I'm thrilled to guide you through discussions that delve into the realms of physical, mental, and spiritual wellness.
Brenna here. Join us as we unravel the mysteries of wellness, offering insights and practical tips to enhance your overall health. From rejuvenating your body to nurturing your mind and spirit, our conversations will cover a holistic approach to well-being.
I'm one of your hosts, Ariana. Discover alternative health strategies aimed at optimizing every aspect of your life. If you're ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and well-being, tune in, open your mind, and let's awaken your ego together. Welcome to a life-changing adventure on the Awaken Your Ego podcast.
Hey guys, Brenna here. So we're going to do something a little different today. We have a series we are going to call Crown and Heart with Dr. Rhoades and Liset, our consciousness coach, both frequent guests on the podcast, but we wanted to do some little more positive messages, positive conversations, just kind of to show all of the things that Liset does and Dr. Rhoades. I mean, he has some really great wisdom with meeting with patients, and so we're going to add this to our podcast. Hope you guys enjoy the Crown and Heart series with Dr. Rhoades and Liset.
Hey, Liset, what's up?
Hi, Dr. Rhoades. So we're here today, and we want to share. I understand that you have a little story that you want to share today.
I had a wonderful experience a couple days ago. So I'm in my office, and I'm talking to this woman, and she's in her 70s, very sweet, doesn't speak much English. Obviously not a woman of much means, but very kind. And we just kind of vibed, hit it off real well. You know, her and her daughter were there, seeing me about some pain issues. Anyway, afterwards, I just felt like giving her a big hug. And she looks at me and says, Que Dios te bendiga y la Santísima Virgen. And how I took that, may God bless you and the Holy Virgin. And it was kind of like, that's probably the kindest, sweetest thing you could offer me and give me. And I took it as a gift of extreme kindness and love. And just the way she said it, she was very sincere and with significant intention. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I just felt so much love right then from her for somebody I just met like 15, 20 minutes ago. And anyway, it was just amazing to me. It really made me feel good about myself and good that somebody cared about me that I didn't even know. And I don't know, I just felt her love. And I just want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, and you cared about them too.
Oh, absolutely. She's a sweetheart. She's just wonderful.
And it's about the intention and sincerity about the whole thing and the expression of it. When some people, they want to do something very elaborate and express to show their gratitude, but the simplest form is just words and intentions and coming from the heart, and it fills you up, it nurtures you, and it's a great way to be a reminder that words are profound and they can lift people up.
And I think it was deeper than words. I think it had to do with her intention, and I could feel it. I could just feel like, God, this woman does love me. She's being very kind. And I took it in a way that's like, I'm so grateful, to God and to her for feeling that way. It was just, it was kind of magical.
Oh,
it was good.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful to have someone who's so intentional and come from the heart.
Yeah.
And I wish that a lot more people did that in this world, because it would change things.
Well, and I think one of the big things that affected me was, like, I didn't really know her before then. But it's not, to express that love to me and feel it back towards her, you don't have to have this big lengthy thing. It's not somebody you got to know forever. Or she was just unabashedly unafraid to express feeling and stuff like that. I don't know. It was very. The reason it was so significant was, I think, just this. I don't want to say a transference of love and feeling like, hey, this, I care about you. I wish you well. It was just wonderful. And just the sincerity of it all. It was wonderful.
Heart-to-heart connection.
Yeah.
And it's always the most biggest form of expression of love, of gratitude, of self, and it really can move mountains.
Well, I think the other thing is that we need not be afraid of expressing. Like, I don't want to express love or care or without being reciprocated. I'm worried that they won't feel the same way towards me, and I think love is something we don't have to be reciprocated. You know, I mean, you can feel love for somebody. If they don't reciprocate, it's okay.
Right.
It's okay. You know, you did it, and you feel good because you did it, and hopefully they feel good because you did it. And some people are afraid to do it too. Like I don't want to express my emotions because that person's gonna feel I'm a weirdo or something. Who cares?
Well, it's also being kind, just kind
Right,
to another person.
right.
And when you express kindness, and not that you want it to feed your ego or feed another part of you.
Yeah.
It's just expressing kindness and putting that out there for anyone. And that always feels wonderful, and it feels good. And it actually propels even you and inspires others.
Yeah.
That if they can live in their authentic self and express their authentic self, then they're more aligned in love. And actually it's actually quite beautiful. I love that. And you have no, like you say, you're not expecting anything back. You're not
Right.
wanting anything back. It's just here is this beautiful intentional gift that it's who I am.
Sure. And next time I see her, I'm gonna give her a big hug right when I see her, you know, and like, hey, it's so good to see you back. And I don't feel like it's gonna be a big drop off, like, well, that happened and we're starting over again. I feel like that'll just carry on.
But you know what I love most about this?
What's
Is
that?
that she was intentional with you.
Yes.
You are intentional with me. And so it is like paying it forward.
Right.
And now we get to express this to the world too.
Sure.
And to have this. So it's about one act of kindness. Just like we talked about the other day.
The
One
butterfly
act of
effect.
Correct. One act of kindness can have a butterfly effect. And you just never know how far it goes. So
I don't know if everybody knows what the butterfly effect is, but supposedly, you know, it's like the flapping of a butterfly's wings. The way it acts on the world, and all of a sudden it can exponentially grow to the point of being a tsunami somewhere. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a tsunami, but, you know, when we start reaching out to everybody we know or we come in contact with and showing forth love and appreciation, I think great effect to the world. I'm personally cynical a lot of times, like whatever I do is not going to matter. But the reality is it does matter. It does matter at the microcosm of individual relationships, but also it matters, I think, you know, to spread out, you know, decrease cynicism throughout the world, you know. Like, the world's a better place if we all, and the only way we can make it a better place is by acting authentically, yeah. And lovingly and kindly.
and have your intentions.
And if we're not authentically loving, then we need to change something, man. Like, if your authentic self is mean, then you need, you need to change
Then
that.
that propels forward. If you start one with
Yeah.
being mean,
Yeah,
and then that affects the other person, that affects the other person,
Oh, yeah.
that affects the other person,
in a negative way.
in a negative way. And also, then you have all this thing going on. So if that affects in a negative way,
Right.
then the same capacity, the same strength, the same cannot be affected in the kindness.
Well, and I think then by the same way is whether we're kind or mean, that's what we're putting in the universe, and
Comes back to you.
everybody, not just that it comes back to you, but it spreads and it gets, it touches everybody, and it may touch your family or this or that. I mean, it just, it does come back to you eventually, but just as good or bad for the whole universe.
And even if it doesn't.
Yeah.
So one act of kindness, like you said, it can go from a hug. You turn around and you hug somebody else. And then they turn around and be like, I'm going to give this kindness and give that same
Right.
energy. And it's gave that same vibration. And then they go home and they have a really good turnout with their family.
Yeah.
And then their spouses turn around the next day and be like, hey, I had a really good night. And they go to work and they have a really good day. And it keeps propelling over and over and it pushes out. So I really do believe in that butterfly effect.
So here's something then to think about, and as you talk about this, it brings it up to me. It's like we see all this negative media stuff,
Yes.
coming at you. Like, as we watch all that, we get affected by it, and then we start getting angry or mean or more cynical or more whatever. And that kind of spreads too, And so I think we got to watch what comes in towards us. And if we could limit the bad things, it's a good thing. I'm not saying being blind to the world, nor to be Pollyanna and think that everybody's got good intentions, because we know that's not true. But if we're trying to put out in the world good things and we limit the bad stuff that enters us, like poison, then we're not going to be as poisoned from that kind of thing.
Oh, I completely agree. I think you have to have some type of diet, and I'm not just talking about diet of food, but diet of those conversations around you, the diet of what you see, because every day we're intaking information by what we hear, by what we see, and by what we feel. So if I'm on just having a discernment on what I want in my life, because it will impact me. Why do you think you gravitate to the music that you gravitate to? Because if you're feeling sad, you're going to gravitate to sad music. If you're feeling happy, you're going to gravitate to happy music. If you are leaning to even the experiences of the hardships in your life, you're going to gravitate to those songs that resonate with you. So there has to be a point where you do have some type of discernment on what you bring into your life,
right?
Because that's just going to continue to feed what you already have going on.
But you don't. But if you're in a bad spot, you don't want things to resonate with that and say, "Yeah, that's what I'm feeling." Because I think there are times you got to change how you feel and just kind of like. And this is not being unauthentic, but it's being like, I realize I'm in a bad spot. I need to do something to get me out of it. And whether it be music or kindness or what you read or what you watch on TV and stuff like that. I mean, God, there's so much crummy stuff out there. We should probably limit it and look at good things to our lives.
We definitely have to put tools in place that will help you to bring yourself out of those.
So here's a common thing, and I would like your opinion on this. So a lot of times we talk bad about other people.
Yeah.
Not you and me, of course, but everybody. A lot of people do. So if you're having a conversation and somebody starts talking bad about somebody, or, I don't care if it's the president or if it's another person or stuff like that, how do you stop that? Like, basically telling people, you're poisoning me right now. You're casting a spell on me.
Why are you standing there? Walk away.
And if they're your friends, maybe just say, hey, I don't want to talk about this. Or I don't know how you do that. That's what I'm asking. Like, just say, hey, we got to stop this. This is making me feel bad, and I'm sure it is you too.
So for me, I always think we all have moments in our lives that they were painful. Mm-hmm. No one is perfect, per se. So we have moments that we may fail. Mm-hmm. And the last thing we want to do is have someone that keeps pushing and acknowledging those.
Right.
And instead of looking at it as, okay, I failed and I can learn something different from what failed, and then project yourself somewhere in a different zone. But when you're around someone and all they do is criticize and they talk about another person, be very mindful of that, because for sure they will be talking about you, because that's what they do.
When you're not there.
And when you're not there.
So what though? What if somebody talks about you?
That's fine. That's up to them. It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to.
Yeah.
So if someone is talking about somebody else, I have the discernment to just walk away and be like, that's not what I care for, that's not what I want. Yeah. I don't have to. They have their own opinions in regards to whatever experience that they had. But I have to say is, where did they find out this was a natural thing, an okay thing? And I'm almost positive most people who talk about somebody else hate, and hate is a strong word I don't like using. They dislike and hate when someone talks about them. So in reality, they're in their own cycle.
Do you think maybe it's a mirror of how they feel about themselves too, a little bit? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, I think of this as like eating potato chips for nutrition. We know they're not very nutritious. Sometimes it tastes good. It might be salacious gossip or stuff like that. Yeah. Might taste good, so to speak, but leaves you feeling yucky and not not feeling good about yourself, but really feeling, I eat too many potato chips, you feel maybe kind of heavy or kind of not good. And so I think indulging in some of this kind of thing makes you feel bad too. So here's another thing. Sorry to segue, but we're freestyling right now.
Right?
But I read this book, and you've read it too, The Anatomy of Peace,
Yes.
and it talks a lot about objectifying people. And a lot of times when we objectify people, what it means is like kind of dehumanizing them, and it makes it easier for us to hate them and to say bad things about them and not feel bad when bad things happen to them. For example, let's get into the politics of everything. Those stupid Republicans or those stupid Democrats.
Right.
You're taking away their humanity as individual human beings by just calling them this or that, or those meth addicts, those homeless people, those blacks or Hispanics or whatever it is. You ever want to, I think we forget a lot of times that they're human beings, and, they're children of God, and they're people, and they have feelings. And when we take that away, then it's easier for us to be mean to them or do bad things to them, or even not be as caring for them when bad things happen.
You also have to wonder, how detached are you to your own, to see another person and not see them as a human being? We all came from the same place.
Yeah.
We were all born the same way. We have the things that we will do in life, and we will always end up in the same place.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, we don't start to realize where someone grew up and all the stuff that they had to go through, and thinking if we'd had to go through that, where would we be? Would we be doing as well as them?
Now we're getting into a whole different topic, because there is a degree of how some families will have a little bit more benefit, or benefits in life, or even some type of advantages in life, depending how they grew up. And it does come back to yourself. Because if you grew up in a home that was very detached and very isolated, and there was a lot of trauma in it, then you will think that is a natural way of being. So therefore, you will look, your experiences have showed you that life is this way. So therefore, you will manifest life in that way. But if you have a family that, even though there's trauma there, but there's a baseline of where where you will be at, then you will understand those advantages of, okay, I can do this and this will come back to me. Or some people understand that if I do this, nothing comes back to me. So it's about rewiring the brain as well too.
Well, but I think, I feel like what you're telling me is a lot of this is environmental, and there is some genetic and epigenetic issues with this too. But there are some really great people that grew up in really adverse circumstances.
Correct.
But there's some mediocre people, but they grew up in such horribly adverse circumstances that a lot of times we don't give them credit. Like, hey, man, this guy's doing pretty well for where he came from, or this woman. Let's not, give him so much. So here's a story. So this is what a friend of mine told me. There's a guy that walks around town, and he has these plastic bags taped all over him, and he's got a stick. He looks kind of like a urban mountaineer or something. And my friend had talked to him and said, hey, we can buy, he goes, some shoes or some clothes or some food. He said, I don't need it.
Yeah.
He goes, I got money.
Yeah.
He said, what happened was, I had a family, and this guy killed my wife and my son, and I'm left without a family, and they didn't get prosecuted, and I just had enough of society. Yeah. And so I decided to just drop out of society.
Yes.
And the reason I'm wearing those stupid plastic bags all over the place is because sometimes I sleep at places where the sprinklers go off, sleeping in the bushes, and so I'm trying to stay dry.
Yes.
Anyway, the whole point of this is like, boy, I never knew that about this guy. When I'd see him around town, I thought he's just an odd guy, but yeah. And so I think, what's the point I'm trying to make is like, I get now why he's doing this. He's very sad. He's lost everything, and And he's like, I don't want to be part of society right now.
So, unfortunately, our unresolved moments in life can cause so much pain and so much what you feel is unfairness that you rather just not be part of it.
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. I actually met him when I was in my 20s, to be honest with you.
Okay,
And I talked
okay,
to
so
him.
you know that guy.
Yes. And he just said the same thing. He loved his wife, loved his life, loved everything. And at that point, it's like he gave up.
So it'd be easy for him to look at him and there's just a homeless guy and judge him that way.
Right.
But the reality is, this is a man who suffered, and we should have, love for him and compassion for him, and maybe not take pity. That might be the wrong word. But I mean, the fact that he's chosen this path as a result of all these bad things that have happened.
But once again, kindness.
Yeah.
And your intentions of kindness, no matter who it is, if you were to show that without the receiving back, then you are restoring something in him that he didn't even know that needed to be restored.
Absolutely. And the fact is, certainly maybe it's not going to make him return to society,
No.
but at least he'll feel better and realize that there is some kindness and love in the world instead of judging everybody's bad or everybody, it'd be a horrible way to live life.
And everybody has stuff that they're going through, and you never know. So if you're judging someone, then, I mean, how harsh are you judging yourself for the things that you went through?
Well, what we do, I think, when we judge people is we judge them out of context. We always judge ourselves in context because we realize everything we've been through and all this stuff happened, and that's why I'm the way I am.
And that's the
But
disconnection.
I might look at somebody else and say, oh, you know what, they're just rotten. Well, you don't know what's happened. Like that guy, all this stuff happened. Then you realize, oh my gosh, this is, now I kind of get it. Maybe I wouldn't have done the same thing, but I get where he's feeling.
Yeah.
And I think, again, the compassion thing is like, never judge anybody in that way. I mean, probably a tenet from almost every religion, if you dig down deep into the religious teachings, not how some people practice it, but just being kind.
And that's what we're talking about today. It's just being kind to someone. Because kindness can go a long way.
Yeah.
And kindness can come back and
No,
just...
absolutely. And God bless whoever was kind to that woman that led her to be able to be loving like that, because it's really affected me. I mean, on a very visceral level.
And it affects me. Because when you're kind, like I said, the butterfly effect. The biggest thing that I've always said about you is I love the way you love. You have a big heart. You are so incredibly kind. And so I thank you today, and I thank you for sharing your story, because it really does let me believe and know that there's wonderful people out there, and that just makes my heart even that much more bigger.
Lisette, I'll accept your compliment. Thank you very much. And I love you, and I'm appreciative of your great knowledge and wisdom in addition to your kind and compassionate heart.
So thank you, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Be kind to someone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode of the Awaken Your Ego podcast. We hope our discussions have inspired you to explore new dimensions of health and wellness.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to empower individuals on their path to optimal well-being.
Stay tuned for more insightful conversations, and until next time, may you continue to awaken your ego and embrace the extraordinary potential within.
Take care, be well, and remember, your journey matters.